Okay, y'all, so here goes a story. So remember how I told y'all I was going to work the day shift? So today I work the day shift. You know, I'm thinking day shift, no ghosts, no spirits, no nothing. Just day shift stuff. A lot of people there, a lot of services, so on and so forth, right? So I'm sitting up at the front and I had put like a stack of papers on the desk, right? So I'm like, oh, okay. I turn to do something else on my computer. Next thing you know, this whole stack of papers just get knocked off the desk. And I'm like, what the heck? I get up, pick the papers up, put them back where they were, and they get knocked off the desk again. So at this point, I'm like, okay, Casper, give me a sec. Okay, Casper, you're just going to keep knocking my stuff over. So I put it back on the desk, right? I turn around. 2 seconds later, the papers are flying on the floor again. Flying on the floor again. So I look at the lady on the side of me and I'm like, are you throwing my papers on the floor? And she's like, no, that's George. George is doing that. George is doing that. And I'm like, so who's George? Right? And she's like, oh, it's the daytime ghost spirit that's always up in here, like throwing our papers on the floor, opening doors, putting his hand underneath. If you go to the bathroom, putting his hand underneath the thing and making all the paper just fly out. So I'm like, so y'all have a daytime spirit and y'all named it? Okay, so the name is George. Got it. Cool. George, I'm here today. I introduced myself, right? So George decided that today was going to be the day to pick on me. So because I never worked daytime, hardly ever, my papers were all over the floor. Then when I got up, so I went and got me some coffee, right? I put my little cup on the desk or whatever to drink my coffee. I'm typing on the computer. Did my coffee get knocked onto the floor? So George thought it was going to be, today he was going to try me. Okay. I got to go pick up this coffee, right? I feel him, but I don't see him, if that makes sense, right? I can feel him. I go into the bathroom. I'm going to go get paper towel because I'm like, this makes absolutely no sense. Put my hand under the thing, whoosh, get my paper. As I'm about to walk out, somebody put their hand back under the thing, and next thing you know, all this paper towel just starts coming out. All the paper towel starts coming out. It's coming out so bad, it's going into the trash can at this point. And I'm just like, so I was just like, George, stop. Like, stop. Like, you're making a mess. And he stopped. He stopped doing it. And it just got like super cold in the bathroom. So I'm just like, do we need to have a conversation? So I go back out and I tell the lady, I'm like, listen. She's like, George did it, huh? Yep, he did something with the bathroom. I'm like, yes. Like, y'all don't have control over this daytime guy. Like, he's just a prankster, a jokester. So come to find out, his family, like, when he passed away, his family was like, oh, he always used to play jokes on people. You know, he was a good guy. His real name wasn't George when he was living, but that's the name that they gave him, right? So she's like, you know, they told us about him, blah, blah, blah. He's a jokester. He likes to do this, that. He'll mess with you all day. Mind you, when I come in at night, George must be asleep because I have my own little spirits, ghosts that I named a couple of them, but I don't really name them like that because they just be popping up whenever. But I was just like, y'all just let George run rapid up in here, messing up stuff and tearing up stuff. They don't have no control over their daytime spirits, like, at all. And I don't got time for that. So I had to let George know, like, listen, if I'm going to be working days, you can't be doing this to me because it makes it look like I don't know what I'm doing because I'm knocking down papers and spilling coffee and messing up the paper roll. That ain't me. So hopefully the next time I go back, if I ever go back today, George will be on his best behavior because I'm not going to deal with that. So you do get some that are like, that want to play too much, like the nights with the lights, and some that are, I've never ran across a demonic spirit. I don't know. Some people be like, oh, those are demons you're messing with. No, they're not. Some of them are kids. They are not demons. Like, they're not demonic. They're not trying to hurt me. They're not doing anything to like bring me into the afterworld with them. They're just just lost souls. We'll say that. We'll just call them lost souls. I don't treat them badly. They don't treat me badly. Like, but George, I got something for you.
Basically, my mom was gonna get married to this man. Well, they did get married. But before they got married, they decided to do everything that they were supposed to do. They didn't sleep with each other. They had a big church wedding. They even went and got tested for STDs. At the STD clinic, they stood in front of each other in front of the doctor. She said to him, "Oh, I'm clean, I'm good, I'm tested, I don't have anything." She said the same thing for him. She didn't look at the papers, thought nothing about it. They get married. They even moved to South Carolina. Mind you, we're originally from Florida. They get married. I don't go with them. I'm like 5 years old at this time. My mother gets pregnant, and so then she goes into the doctor. And they call her back afterwards. She's used to this because she has diabetes, and normally they call you back and say, "Hey, you have diabetes, you need to be more careful." No, they said to her, "Hey, you have HIV." She was like, "What do you mean I have HIV? I've been with the same man. What do you mean?" Mind you, this is 2005. They don't know as much about HIV as they do now. And so primarily that happened with gay couples. But gay people aren't the only people who can get HIV, of course. So she finds this out and she's like, "Oh my God, what?" They also tell her, "You're pregnant with twins." So she doesn't tell anybody for about a month just because she's so stressed and like, you know, she's in shock. And so she finally tells him, and the first thing he says is, "Please don't tell anybody." And he also told her, like, "No one else will love you. You have to stay with me," all this crap. She calls my grandparents. They come and get her. She takes everything she came into that marriage with. And the only thing she left him with was a microwave. Period. She comes home and she tells a few family members. And so my aunt calls her and it's like, "Hey, turn on the news." There's a story on the news where one person knowingly infected the other person with an STD. And they got prison time because it's illegal. So then she realized, hey, this is a crime. And so we have a family friend who's a police officer. She tells him and he's immediately like, "Oh my God," like, "Oh my God." He starts crying. He immediately goes, "We need to get him on a two-way call and have him admit it. If he admits it, then we can get him in trouble with the South Carolina laws instead of the Florida laws." And the reason they were trying to get him in trouble with the South Carolina laws is because South Carolina gives a bigger punishment than Florida. Are we shocked? No. So she gets him in this two-way call and they start talking, and basically he's being not a good person. But she gets him to admit it, and that's very important. They send out a national warrant for his arrest. He's from a very small town, Greenville, South Carolina, right? So in Greenville, South Carolina, on their news, they're like, "If you slept with this man, you need to go get tested." Why? That same day, the testing line is out the door. Out the door. Everybody's going to get tested because everybody slept with this man. He slept with and knowingly infected over 200 people. Right. I was like, what? Oh my God. 200 men and women. So not just women, baby. It's insane. That is a crime. One of the people he slept with was his boss. He worked at a pretty big company. I think it was like something. I don't know. It was a big company. He slept with his boss. The boss went to go get tested and found out she was infected. When she found out she was infected, her partner also found out they were infected, but she didn't talk to him. Like, this woman goes to everybody because she was just so in shock and she needed to process it. Mind you, this is a pretty big deal, you know? And so she wanted to process it. She didn't talk to her ex at all. And so we're going to pause that story for a second and jump to now. A few months ago, me and my mother had to go back to Greenville, South Carolina, where most of this took place, and go to court because he hadn't been paying child support for the twins. As we go here, it's just such a synchronistic day, and we're meeting so many people and like just talking with them and having a really good time. We start talking to this one lady and we're like telling her this story because like it's just the vibe to share. It's a very interesting story. So we get to the part of the story that me and you are in right now. And my mom is saying, yeah, he slept with his boss and she found out she was infected. She completely ghosted the guy that she was with just because she was in such shock. And he was also in shock. So this man is just going crazy because it's like, she won't talk to me. I'm also infected. I don't know anything. And so we're telling the lady the story. And my mom goes, yeah, so my ex-husband's boss is walking out of her garage on Mother's Day. The lady that we're talking to, she goes, wait, you mean the lady that walked out of her garage on Mother's Day and her boyfriend shot her to death? Oh my God, that was my aunt. We're sitting here telling this lady this story, and then she starts finishing the story for us because the lady, the boss, that was her aunt. So we're just like, what the heck? What do you mean that was her? Like, what? Do you know how small of a world it is? And she was like, yeah, I was young when that happened, so I didn't really know like why she passed away or like what the true cause of her death was. I just heard that like it was a tragedy and he just went crazy and shot her. We had no idea that this was why, and it was linked to that case. So we're just like, oh my God, I cannot believe this is happening. And the way everything just connected was literally insane, guys. Like, but basically the twins' dad, the one who infected my mother, he went to prison for about 5 years. He's out now and not paying child support, obviously. That's why we had to go to the courthouse. But after that, my mom became an HIV advocate. She's really well known on Facebook, and I believe her face is in a bunch of like museums around the country. Oh, and she was so stressed from all of this and from finding out she had HIV that she actually had my twin siblings at 4 months. They were not supposed to live. Do you know how hard it is to have a baby at 4 months and keep them alive? It's a miracle. The twins do have disabilities now. Definitely probably as a result of being born too early. My brother has cerebral palsy and my sister has autism. Ooh. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. We're all living now. Everybody's pretty fine. My mom, when she was an HIV advocate, which she technically still is, she'd go around speaking this story to schools, churches, anybody who like wanted her to come and, you know, speak about it, telling people to practice safe, you know, intercourse. And of course, always see the papers if you're going to be tested with somebody. Do not take their word for it. Oh, the biggest part is the doctor knew that he was lying, but couldn't say anything because of the HIPAA Law Privacy Act, which is so crazy to me. But yeah, we gotta finish up this green juice. I hope you guys enjoyed the story. I'm gonna go make this and drink it. If you'd like to follow her Facebook is Renee Burgess Ladybird Live. Just look up the Renee Burgess story on YouTube or Facebook or honestly Instagram, and it'll pop up. Thanks for listening. Follow for more story times.
This is reason number 1 as to why you should always be very careful when inviting anyone into your home, even family. So for those of you guys who follow me on here, you already know that my father and I don't have the best relationship. Recently, I found out that he had a baby, so I reached out. We ended up reuniting. I met the baby and decided to invite them over to my house for dinner. Mind you, my home is extremely protected. So if anybody comes in with any type of negativity around them, they're not going to feel well. So he comes over. The minute he walks in, he starts to become ill. He said he felt like he was gonna faint, like he didn't know what was going on. They ended up cutting their visit short and practically rushed out of the door. I didn't think much of it and just decided to go on with my day. The next day, which was on Sunday, I woke up in the worst possible mood. I couldn't understand why I was in such a bad mood. I had absolutely no reason to feel so angry, but something was just really bothering me. I decided to take the kids to go watch the new Spider-Man to kind of get my mind off of it. Once I left the house, I realized that I no longer felt like that anger. Like, it was gone and I felt fine. But the minute we went back home, I started to feel angry again. Decided to ignore it. I don't know why I keep ignoring things. Decided to ignore it, went about my day. That Monday I wake up, when I go downstairs, I notice that the house is dark. Like, there's this darkness around the house. My house is extremely light. My shades are always open. I don't like darkness. But again, busy with work, I kind of just get ready and go about my day. When I get home later on that day, the house has this weird, like, rotting smell. My kids can't smell it, but I can smell it, and it's bothering me. So I go around cleaning the house. I'm like bleaching, I'm scrubbing, I'm mopping. I'm like, where's that smell coming from? I even like deep clean the trash can, like in the inside, thinking maybe something spilled in there. I couldn't get the smell from like out of my nose. That night I go to bed and I end up waking up at exactly 3 a.m. So I'm like, fun, this is fun. I'm like getting chills even thinking about it. My mouth is so freaking dry. I go downstairs to get something to drink. When I go downstairs, I notice that the basement door is open. I never leave that door open. So I shut it, grabbed the water, and went back to my room. The minute I lay down, I'm paralyzed. This thing paralyzes me, and it shows itself. I'm like fighting back again. I'm not afraid of any of this stuff because I've been dealing with this stuff my whole life. So I'm pretty much laughing at it, telling it that it has no power and needs to leave. I start to pray, and it's continuing to like hold me down. At one point, I'm able to break free and I like overpower this thing. I have one of those Stanley cups, the dupe, not the real one. I'm not spending $40 on a cup. Next to my nightstand, and I started to hit it in the head with it. Once I did this, it went away. I say my prayers and go to sleep. I wake up at about 6 a.m. and decide to go downstairs to get my coffee. When I go downstairs into the kitchen, I hear what sounds like something like fumbling in the basement, like something's falling over in the basement. And then I look and realize that the basement door is open.
So today we're going to be diving into some more scary content, and we're going to be talking about 1999, the creepypasta. I first read this creepypasta when I was probably a freshman in high school, and it really stuck with me. I don't know what about it is so freaky, but I finally found it again today, and I'm going to share it and read it with you guys. Just a disclaimer, this is not my story. I did not write this. This is from Creepypasta on the internet. I'm just going to be sharing it. So let's dive into part 1. The year is 1999. That sentence brings me back to my senior kindergarten class when I was 5 years old, where we used to read out the date on the blackboard every single day. The year 1999 exists as a stain in my mind, however, as a memory that will not go away no matter how I try to forget it. 1999 marked the year I lost my first tooth, my first time on a plane, and unfortunately, the early loss of my childhood innocence. That one memory that refuses to be wiped. It all started with that new, or old, TV. At that time, Pokemon was the latest fad to hit the school. Pokemon cards, games, stickers, and the most popular, the TV show. So, of course, every time I came home from school, I would stay glued to the TV until Pokemon came on at 5. The only problem was that my dad watched the news at 5:30, and Pokemon episodes were back to back, which meant I had to miss an episode every day. Something I whined on and on about. My dad got tired of hearing me complain every day, and that must be why he went and bought another TV. My dad put the TV he bought in my room. Unfortunately, it was just an old small boob tube with rabbit ears even. It also only had 20 channels available, not including the channel Pokemon was on. I recall I didn't care though. I was just thrilled I had my own TV in my room. After surfing through the channels, I came to the conclusion that only channel 2, TVO Kids, was worth watching, so I watched that for a while. It wasn't for another few months until I discovered channel 21. One day in April, I was flipping through the channels trying to see if Pokemon was on. I pressed channel 21 to the remote, hoping there were more channels, and to my delight, there was. My dad was surprised too, but he let me watch it because it seemed to have a kids program on. The channel was called Calden Local 21, and later I found out it was indeed broadcasted from the very town of Calden, Ontario, a town very close to my own city. The shows I saw on Calden Local 21 looked poorly made, and I never understood what was going on in them half the time. However, as I grew up, every time I thought of that channel, I realized more and more how messed up the shows were, and I had to ask myself, what the fuck was I watching? The following is a list of shows and episodes I remember seeing on Calden Local 21. How I remember such detail even disturbs me, but I guess things like this stand out in your mind for a while. The channel only ran a few shows, probably because it was only operational between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. And that is the first part of 1999.
Let's do a story time, and typically this is not what our content is about, but I want to just start with by saying if there's one video that you watch of ours, please let it be this one. We have a lot of moms and daughters and young girls following us, and if I don't share this story, then I'm not doing right by any of you. And to be honest, I really haven't even had time to digest any of this, but when I say my daughter was this close to being part of what I feel like was human trafficking, I can't even describe to you the feeling that I feel as a mom, because it happened right in front of my eyes. And you hear about these stories all the time, and it's like they sound like just like horror, like true crime, just like stories that you would never ever think could happen to you. So last night we were actually in Indiana because we were visiting my family for the weekend for my birthday trip. It was our last night, and we decided to go to Nordstrom Rack. And this is the Nordstrom Rack. If you live in Indiana, it's the one on Keystone. And it was closing time. It was like around 7 o'clock. They were closing at 9. We decided to just stop and do last minute shopping before we leave for our trip. Allie had my 4-year-old in the grocery cart, and then my 6-year-old was walking with her. I was doing some shopping within like 3 to 5 feet of her, and my husband was doing shopping in the men's section. So Ellie was with me in the women's section. I'd already like finished our shopping, so we were just kind of waiting on my husband to finish. I see this man walking by her. He doesn't realize that I'm her mom and that I'm with her. He's talking on his phone, and I'm watching him follow her. I'm watching. I'm not saying anything. I'm not talking to her because I want to see what he is doing. He looks to be an Indian man. He's talking on his cell phone. I'm going to post a picture of his face because it's going to show up on my platform, and I hope that you guys continue to share his face until we find out who he is. So he's on his phone, he's following my daughter, he's following my kids around, and I hear his conversation on the phone, and he says, "How long until you can get here?" And in that moment, I literally coaches my body. In that moment, I knew he was up to no good. My intuition kept true, and I kept listening. And again, he's eye contacting her, and they're really close to me, but he's still watching her. And he's on the phone, "How long until you can get here?" He says, "Do you want me to FaceTime you?" And he says, "Hurry, hurry." He walks right past me, and I'm watching his every move. He gets on the phone with somebody. He's FaceTiming. He's holding his phone like this. Ellie's right over here getting into the checkout line, and he comes up right in front of me, and when he goes to her, I can see his phone. He is FaceTiming, and he is following her, and he is showing the person on FaceTime her and my other 2 small children. In that moment, the mother bear inside me, when I tell you, I went up to him directly, And I spoke as loud as I could because I wanted everyone in that store to hear me. Again, my husband was on the other side of the store. I wanted the workers, anyone around me, there was another little family with a small child, to know he was up to no good. And I went up to him directly and I said, you better put your phone away. You better stop following my children around, and you better leave this store. He says to me, it's my mom, it's my mom. I said, it's not your mom. Stop following my children around. You've been following my children around this entire store. I know what you're doing, and you better leave the store immediately. Just to validate my mom intuition, he was actually at the store the same exact time the night before the closing shift, we're gonna call it, and he was there the same exact time. Did not buy one thing, either of the nights. It was like his face was like a little child getting caught for stealing something. These men that do this and prey on young women and children are weak. They are weak. So when I was direct with him and called him out, his eyes, you could just see it, like he was caught. And he just kind of put his face down, and he was in dress clothes. He had like a green shirt on. You would never, he almost looked just like a smart, like IT guy, like really smart, and like he looked like a businessman. He looked like a businessman, you guys. So as he walks away, he gives me like one more turnaround. He turns around one more time, because again, he was like really close to the exit because we were by the checkout line. He looks at me one more time, and I get close to him, and I have my phone out. It's not recording, but I'm gonna make him feel like it. And I get into his face and I said, do you want me to record you? Do you want me to follow you around like you've been doing my children all night? And then at that moment, he put his head down and he ran out that door. I immediately went and got my husband. They had security in the store. I told him I want to make a police report. He checked the footage. He said, this guy looks suspicious. Yes, I agree. You should make a police report. My husband calls the police to the store. I make a police report because I'm not going to let this guy get away with it. So if you live in Indiana or the surrounding area, anywhere as a mom with young children, these men are preying on you. It is real. It does happen. The fact that it happened right in front of my eyes and I watched the entire thing go down, there's definitely more to this story. I could keep going on because when we left the store and I made the police report, there is a white like Dodge Ram very back. What I believe was the guy he was on the phone with coming to pick up my daughter or my children. And that same guy went into the store right after, like during my police report, as I'm standing outside, he goes into the store. He stays at that store until closing time. I will do a part 2 because I want to share with you what I found, where this guy was going. It's very disturbing. It's very real. And it's everything that you hear and see in these crazy human trafficking stories. It's absolutely terrifying. So I'm definitely going to share that with you. And I will say, when I made my police report, the police officer did not take me seriously. He made me feel like it was just another thing. Since he didn't do anything criminally wrong, there's really not much he can do. He said it's what he calls a 1096. When I asked what a 1096 is, he said basically it's people with a mental disorder, and that this is kind of normal. I knew as a mom this guy was not having a mental disorder. It was not a mental breakdown. He fully knew what he was doing. He went in with the full intention of finding a girl or children, and his intentions were not good. I cannot tell you 100% what his intentions were, but I can tell you from what I've heard and my mom intuition, and I'm telling you it was to take my child, my daughter, or my little boys with her. My biggest ask to you guys is that you hear the story, you listen to this story, you take this seriously, and whether it's Target or Walmart or anywhere you go with your children, just in general, it's so easy to be distracted. And I am a true crime mom junkie. Talk to Ellie, she will tell you, like my mom will tell me every scenario, will give me ways to get out of situations. Like I'm constantly like reminding her that this stuff happens. And so I just want you guys to be very aware, especially young girls. Ellie goes to the mall, you guys go to the mall, she's 15, it's very normal to go shopping. You guys are driving now. Your mom will tell you this. If you don't listen to her, please listen to me. Please listen to me. Because Ellie, of all girls who I've been teaching her entire life of this situation, she was very unaware of what was happening. She even told me the scariest part is that you're right, Mom. He got so close to me once in the store that he actually bumped into me. And she was so unaware of the situation, you guys. So please listen to the story, share the story, young girls, moms, anyone with little kids, please, this is who I'm trying to reach. It is very serious, and I hope you guys share the story. And I'm going to be tagging IMPD, which is the Indianapolis Police Department, so they start taking this more seriously and they actually look into this.
I grew up in a haunted house, and I like to tell stories of things that happened to me, my friends, and family while living in that house. This is the story of how the ghost turned my skeptic high school boyfriend into a believer, just like that. We had dated. When I say dated, we were boyfriend-girlfriend like 7th grade through freshman year of high school, but then we ended up breaking up, but then we started dating again about a week before graduation. He knew all of the stories about the ghosts in my house, but he didn't believe any of them until one day he had no choice. Came over, we were going to go on a date. I was still finishing getting ready, like curling my hair or whatever, so he decided to sit down on my bed and call the movie theater to see what movies were playing and what times. Yes, that was the thing back then. So while that's happening, we see my mom walk by my bedroom door with the laundry basket headed downstairs to the washer and dryer. So we finally agree on a movie, and then we realize we have about 35 minutes before it starts, and I lived 30 minutes from the movie theater, so we had no time to waste. So I tell him I'm going to step to the stairs and yell down to my mom that we're leaving so we can just go ahead and run out the door. Mom, we got to go. The movie starts in like 35 minutes. I've got to leave right now. Can you hear me? We see her shadow moving around downstairs. I've shown photos before of my house, but you went down the stairs and then you made a sharp curve around the corner to where the washer and dryer was at. So there was light back there that would cast a shadow if anyone was standing down there. So she's down there moving, but she's not saying anything, and I don't have any time to play around. So I start to make my way halfway down the stairs, and the whole time I'm like, Mom, answer me. We've got to go. So I'm halfway down the stairs. He's standing at the top of the stairs holding the basement door open, and he says, "Hey, we're heading out." Like maybe she could hear his deeper voice better. Now, as soon as he says that, the intercom in the kitchen goes off from my dad's shop that was about 100 yards behind the house. So the way that worked is there was an intercom at the shop, an intercom at the house, and then you would push a button and it would be like to alert whoever. So we both hear that go off, and I look up to the stairs and I see him like this. So I turn around and I'm like, was that the intercom? Before he can even answer me, we hear my mom over the intercom. She said, "Hey, before you guys leave, make sure you let me know. I'm down here at the shop." So who's in the basement? So I look up to him and he's standing there like this, holding the door frame, like frozen. And he's looking to the kitchen because he just heard my mom. And I ask him, "Was that Mom?" And he turns, he's like, "Wait, if that's Mom at the shop, then who's down here?" So he's like frozen in fear with like a death grip on the door frame. And he's looking at me and he goes, "It's not your mom. It's not your mom." So I'm still confused. So I look back at him and I'm like, "What?" And now he's frantic. He's at the top of the stairs going, "Come on. It's not your mom. Come up here now. Come on. I start backing up the stairs, right? I'm holding on to the hand railing, just slowly backing up. And I'm not facing him now. I'm facing whatever's downstairs. And I just hear him going, "Come on. The whole time, the shadow's moving, still moving. It's clearly a person moving. So then the scary part, I think this might be the part that pushed him over the edge. We had those accordion style doors, so like you pushed it open, it would lock, and you had to pull it pretty hard to like make it, go back flat again. I just kept it pushed open because by the time you came around the corner, you had clothes, like a basket of clothes in your hands. You didn't want to have to open it, so we just kept it open. So then it, wham, slammed shut real quick. So I'm backing up like really fast, like going back up the thing. He reaches down and gets me under my armpits, pulls me up, and then slams the door. We broke up about 6 months after that. Now, do I blame her for it? Nah.
82% of CIA agents are men, which is crazy to me because one time I used a guy's public Venmo transaction history and his Twitter likes to figure out that he was also seeing a girl across the country. And I just don't believe a man could do that.
Okay, I am crashing out and I need somebody to listen to me because I'm tired of bugging my friends with this. So this is going to be a story time about my psycho ex-neighbor who is still torturing me to this day, even though we don't live in the same complex anymore, okay? So listen, please. Okay, we're going to call her Mary, okay? So my husband and I moved above Mary in 2021. The first day we moved in, I'm unpacking, putting things away. My husband is at work, and She comes up to my door and she says, I'm sorry, I know you just moved in, but can you please turn your music down? Okay, it's like 11 in the morning. I had all the windows open. There was so much beautiful light. Okay, I'm sorry, the sound travels. So I closed the windows and I turned down the music a little bit. Okay, and I was like, a couple weeks go by, we don't hear from Mary at all. She gives me smiles and says hi to my dog. And I was like, okay, so it was just that one instance. Maybe it was a little loud. The apartment had thin walls, whatever. No, that was not it. Then summertime comes, okay? We get an air conditioning unit. It's a standing unit, and every single day, as soon as I would turn it on, she starts banging on the ceiling with her broom. From there, it just escalates. Every time I walk in my apartment, she starts banging on her ceiling with her fucking broom. Every time I'd walk to my kitchen, there was one spot on the floors that would creak. Every time I'd walk on that spot, she'd bang on the ceiling. Every time I'm putting my clothes away and I'm closing my dresser drawers, she bangs on the ceiling. Every time she can hear my radio, she's yelling through the floor, shut up! You're so loud! Shut up! And then it gets worse. Then she resorts to calling the cops on us every single day for almost 2 weeks. Every time I'd wake up and I'd walk to my kitchen to go get water, she's banging on the ceiling. I got woken up at 7 in the morning to cops at my door saying, oh, we're getting noise complaints about you. I'm in bed. What do you mean you're getting noise complaints about me? I am in my bed. You woke me up out of my bed. And then they had the audacity to tell me that I need to figure out a way to get along with her. I'm not doing anything. So then I decided I'm done with this. I'm not talking to her anymore. I decided I'm going to get the property management involved. So I started recording every time she'd be yelling at us through the floor, every time she's banging on the ceiling, and what we're doing. She's banging on the ceiling, I'm sitting on my couch. She's banging on the ceiling, I'm walking to my fucking kitchen to get water. What am I doing wrong? Then my property management company tells me that she's been complaining about us, but they haven't been telling us because she's done this to the last 3 tenants that lived in my unit. 3 tenants. 3 different people before me that signed that lease that had to deal with this. And they all complained to property management about her. So now I'm saying you need to do something about this. I'm not going to be the one to just sit here and take this. I have all of this video evidence that she's being crazy. You have all of these police reports. I'm not doing anything. So they said, okay, we're going to come to her unit. We're going to listen while you do whatever you're doing. And we're going to hear from her perspective what's going on because maybe it is loud. All right. So they go to her unit. I turn on my air conditioner. My landlord is recording a video to send to me because she was on my side. Okay. She's recording a video to show me what it sounds like. At most, it sounds like a refrigerator humming. Maybe, if that. Okay? That's it. It's not loud at all. She's fucking crazy. So then property management tells me, okay, here's what we're going to do. You buy soundproofing. Buy some soundproofing, put it under the air conditioner, maybe put some blankets under it so the vibration isn't as loud and hopefully it won't bother her as much. Okay. So we spent like a couple $100 buying car soundproofing panels to put under the air conditioner. We put them under our bed in our room. We put them behind picture frames. I was trying to soundproof our apartment to please her. It doesn't work. A couple weeks go by. She's still banging and calling the cops on us. All the time, by the way. They're coming to our door weekly, and I have to explain to them the situation every single time. And every single time, they go, oh, okay. And they leave. Okay. So then one night at like 8 p.m., we are on our couch watching TV, and I get a knock at my door. I open the door. It's her. She reeks of alcohol, and she's slurring her words. So I'm like, oh, she's about to flip out on us. I pull out my phone. I start recording her. She is going off about how we're the worst neighbors and how I don't even remember what she said because I blacked it out, but she just spews drunk babble on how we are the worst and she doesn't want us to live there anymore and we need to move if we're going to be so loud and we're not considerate and blah, 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 whatever. And I'm just sitting there recording her like, okay, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm not doing anything. So then I send that video to my property management and I told them you need to let us out of our lease or you need to evict her. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I cannot deal with the cops coming to my door weekly because of some psycho. Finally, they agreed. They let us out of the lease. We moved out. We moved into this apartment now, and everything was great for 3 years. 3 years. One day, I noticed a car on our street. that looks oddly familiar. It's hers. I'm thinking, oh, what is her car doing here? She must be visiting someone, right? She moved into my new complex. She lives by me again. She lives on the other side of my new complex, so I don't have to live right next to her, but I see her all the time going to do laundry, and every time she walks by me, she goes, what? Who did I piss off in this world that this is my karma? I am a good person, okay? I don't know what I did to deserve this, but she fucking lives next to us now. And ever since she moved in, we've been getting so many more emails from this property management company saying, we need to be considerate of our noise in the complex. We need to be considerate of our neighbors. Please turn your TVs down after 10. It's because of her, right? Like, she has to be complaining about the people that she lives next to now. So now, what do? I want to do something. So I'm thinking, should I pull my property manager, who lives right next to me, aside and show her the videos that I have of her? And be like, is this the girl complaining? Is this her? You shouldn't have let her move in here. I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. She saw me today walking up the stairs and she's like, I will fight you. I want to like really inconvenience her. Like, I want to do something that's going to make her life really annoying, but I don't want to do anything illegal. What should I do? I need ideas. Thank you for listening if you made it this far. I will have updates for you because I am going to tell my property manager as soon as I see her.
This is not a reason to ghost someone, I don't know what it is, but this girl said she was dating this guy and they were dating for like 3 months. She met him on a dating app, but it was going well, they were exclusive, all that. They were living in Mount Shasta, California, which she said a lot of people there have like weird beliefs, like fringe beliefs into Lemurians and text energy, UFOs, things like that. And I'm not saying you're weird if you believe in these things, I'm just saying these are like fringe beliefs, they're not widely accepted as truth, right? Like, we all know I have some weird beliefs. Her ex, who she's calling Kay for this story, worked the graveyard shift, and he's already on kind of a weird sleep schedule because he works nights, and so they don't meet up as much as she would in a normal relationship because she works days, so they're just kind of on opposite schedules. And one of the things that they initially bonded about was their mutual respect for spirituality and different beliefs. But eventually Kay starts getting really into the idea of lucid dreaming and astral projection, and he starts wearing sleep masks and doing these guided meditations as he's falling asleep in order to induce these sleep paralysis or astral projection journeys. And he starts keeping a dream journal, which is very normal, just normal dream things. But then he starts talking to her about how he's having these encounters with what he calls the Hat Man, which is just this dark silhouette figure that wears a wide brim hat. He seems really excited the first time it happens, and he basically tells her, oh, I met this entity that's going to help me ascend and like become better and all of these things. And she just kind of thinks like he's making it up because he wants something to happen from these astral projection trips so bad. Then it progresses and he wants to talk about it like all the time, and she's getting kind of annoyed because she's like, I'm into it, but I'm not that into it, you know? Then it sounded like he was just trying to make up this like horror fantasy for himself, and she humored him, but she really didn't believe it until the night she saw it too. About a month after he started talking about the Hat Man, she woke up in the middle of the night. It was one of the nights she was spending at his house when their schedules aligned, and she wakes up and she feels like someone's sitting on her chest, and at the end of the bed she sees this tall silhouette figure wearing a hat. She couldn't move and she was hearing this buzzing in her ears, and she heard it breathing. Said even though it felt real, she realized she was having an episode of sleep paralysis, but then she heard it say, don't look in the water, and that snaps her awake. She sits up in bed, and Kay is sitting up in bed wide awake just looking at her. She said, oh my god, I had this horrible nightmare, and he's just smiling at her, and he's like, so you met him? Now she gets back to bed, but she said from that day Kay started acting different. He started wearing these long black trench coats. You know, fashion's fashion, but then she said he would just watch her from random places in his apartment. Whenever she was over at his house, she would find him in the bathroom talking to himself in the dark. He started sleepwalking. Once found him outside sitting in the middle of the lawn at like 2 a.m. when it was raining, just sitting there. Anytime she spent the night at Kay's house, she would have these horrible nightmares. So she's like, you know what, I need some space. Their schedules were a little bit misaligned anyway, so she tells him like, hey, I'm gonna take some time to myself. You know, we're not breaking up, but like, I just don't want to stay at your house for a little bit. 2 weeks go by, she's still texting him, but she's just not seeing him as much. And one day he just calls her and he's like, hey, I had another experience with the Hat Man last night. He told me I was chosen. She's like, I think you're taking this too far. And he's like, no, he only shows up to people who already want to know him, and he wants you to meet him too. He tells her, oh yeah, he liked your energy the night that you met him when you were in my room. And she's like, you know what, I think that this is bordering on delusion. I think you need to take a step back from this. It doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't make me feel good. And he's like, so you don't want to meet him? And she's like, no, I don't want anything to do with this. And he's like, okay, then I really do think we need a break. And she's like, cool. A couple weeks go by, you know, they end up reconnecting. He had reached out apparently and said like, I think I took it too far. I'm sorry. I won't make this such a big part of our relationship anymore. She's like, cool. Start spending the night at his house again. He was working security. She said, she didn't like tell me exactly what his job title was, but she said it was something with ground patrol around Shasta Lake where like really wealthy people live. So his shifts were usually 10 p.m. to like 4 or 5 in the morning.
guess there were a couple nights where she would stay over at his house when he was working, and he would come home and he would smell like smoke, even though his job had nothing to do with fire. Wood smoke, not like, any other kind of smoke. She would ask him, like, what is that smell? And he's like, oh, it's just the fog. And she's like, I'm not an idiot. Like, fog doesn't smell like wood smoke. So this one night, she's over at his house. He says he has to go to work, even though he was supposed to be off that night. Like, they had dinner. It was like 7 p.m. He's like, I have to go to work at 10. She's like, I thought you were off. He's like, well, I have to go in now. She's pretty much convinced that he's cheating at this point for whatever reason. She said he had also like kept his phone face down a lot of the time when she was around. She's like, okay, whatever, I guess I'll just stay here until you get off work. And after he leaves for work, she starts like looking around on his computer and stuff to figure out if he's like cheating. She starts seeing that he has researched a bunch, like something called the Shasta Shadow. I've never heard of this. And the message, don't look in the water, which was weird because that's what she heard that figure say to her in her state of sleep paralysis like a month prior. But around 1:30 that night, she gets a text from him that just says help. There was no punctuation and no follow-up. So she calls him 3 times and he doesn't answer. She starts to spiral. She's like, maybe he meant to send it to somebody else. Like maybe he's cheating. I don't know. She decides she's going to drive to his post at his job. She said the office was on this property that overlooks Lake McCloud. So she parks and she walks a little bit through the trees, and that's when she sees him standing like knee deep in the water. She said he was in his full security uniform and he was talking to something. There was another figure in the water standing next to him wearing this hat. And she said at first she thought it was like just a shadow or a trick of the light, but she watched, and even when he moved, it didn't move, and he seemed to be mouthing something to it. She said she's just standing there watching him, like she couldn't make sense of what she was seeing, and that's when he turned his head and looked at her and smiled. She said she was a distance from him, like there was no way he could have known that she was there. Like they didn't have each other's location, but the way that he looked at her just chilled her to the bone. So she just turned around, she ran, drove back to his apartment, packed a bag, and left. Said she blocked him, has not talked to him since, but a week ago she gets a message from a different number, not his number, and it's just a grainy video of water with somebody whispering, don't look in the water. She said that text came at like 4 a.m, and so she didn't see it until she woke up, but then the next night she had this horrible bout of sleep paralysis where she saw the Hat Man again. She said it's continued all week. She said, I know I'm probably just making it up in my head, but I feel like I'm spiraling and I just needed to tell someone, don't use my name. She said, I really think there is something to the Hat Man sightings or like lore. She wants to know if anyone knows anything about the Hat Man in Mount Shasta or anywhere around it. I don't know much about the Hat Man, but if you've had experience, if you have any words for her, let me know. If you have a spooky scary story, I would love to read it.
I dated a ghost for 6 months, and even after I found out he was a ghost, I was still in love with him and willing to continue the relationship. I know this is hard to believe, but we have ghosts walking around this planet with us. Especially in Nigeria, there are a lot of ghosts that have died and they didn't rest well. Well, let's call him Ebuka. Ebuka used to live in a very lonely street, and that was the street to my lesson. So every time I'm passing that street, you would either find nobody or just one person walking across that same road. So I always see Ebuka around. And at the time, I used to go for that. It was my jam lesson that period. So I used to go for that jam lesson around 6 and come back around 4. Within that period, that's when I'll always see Ebuka. Ebuka will be the first to say hi to me. Ebuka will be the last to say bye to me when I'm going back home. And that continued for a long time until eventually Ebuka told me he liked me. So I mean, what was next? We started the relationship. To be honest, there were a lot of things about him that suggested that he was a ghost, but I wasn't even thinking in that direction. And again, my church, we don't believe in ghosts. We believe that once somebody dies, that's the end, nothing else. After my jam lesson, sometimes I would go to Ebuka's house. Ebuka did not have a single picture in his house. Ebuka never used to talk about any family or any friends. In fact, if me and Ebuka were walking on the road, I was the only one people were talking to. And sometimes I'm like, what is happening? Are these people blind? You know how girls will see you as another lady with a man, and later they come and gist you that, hey, what you they do? And that was like the age I was in. I was still in secondary school. Sometimes my neighbor will be on the road walking, and I will see some of my classmates. None of them will look me in a suspicious manner. Nobody will come and say, Precious, what do they do with man? I used to even fear let my parents not see me with a man. He would always tell me, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. Nothing is happening, nothing is happening. Ebuka looked like someone in his early 30s then. I know, sounds like child abuse, but he looked like someone in his early 30s then. Ebuka never kissed me for one day. Ebuka never hugged me for one day. He would tell me that he does not want to take advantage of me, that he's waiting for me to clock 18 because I was around 17 and few months then. He never did any of that with me because he said he was waiting for me to clock 18. I never knew that he had reasons why he wasn't doing this. Ebuka did not used to snap any picture with me. And it's not like I had like a big phone. I was using a Nokia C3. That was like the phone raining that time, and my elder sister got it for me. So you know how with the small tiny screen, I would be excited to want to take pictures with my boyfriend, you know. Ebuka was nothing that, he wasn't even of that life. Whenever I bring the phone, guy, let's take pictures, he'll run away. Do you understand? Ebuka was older. Ebuka did not used to go to work. Ebuka was very, like, when you enter Ebuka's house, it will be giving mortuary vibe, mortuary standard. Very quiet. He didn't have a lot of things. Guys, I think I'm getting scared. He'll be making statements like, I came to this earth for a mission. I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission. I will soon go back. I say, you soon go back. Go back where? Go back where? Strange, strange statements. I'll soon go back. My work will soon be done. Things like that. I'm like, what do you mean by your work will soon be done? Ebuka was very, very mysterious. One very good afternoon, I was in front of Ebuka's house on my way to the jam lesson. And guess who I saw coming back from work? My mother. I saw my mom approaching. I could not even hide. Like, this was my mom, this was me. Immediately, I said, good afternoon, ma. I just knew I was going to die. My mom was like, what are you doing here? I said, I'm going to jam lesson. Then why are you standing at a spot? Because I was talking to Ebuka in front of his house on that lonely road. I said, hey, I'm going now, I'm going now. She said, okay. So I'm like, okay, this is weird. My mom did not shout at me. I'm like, okay, maybe when I get home, I was already prepared for what will happen. She's going to tell my dad he was going to kill me. So I could not concentrate all through that lesson. When I got home, my mom did not see anything. I even had to now meet her. Mommy, hope you're not angry. Oh, I can explain. Oh, he's just my friend. I was sounding like somebody that was mad. My mom was like, what are you talking about? I said, yes, now when you saw me on the road with that brother that was talking to, he's just my friend, oh, nothing, oh, this one you're not talking about it, oh, hope you don't have it at the back. I was like, I did not see you with anybody. Guys, I kid you not. I was standing and having a conversation with Ebuka. I started asking my mom, you don't see me, you didn't see me. You didn't see, because it was even a different case. If there was a shade covering him, we were in the middle of the road. We were talking, close proximity. You know that compromising position that you... My mom said she did not see me. I told my mom that this, my friend that lives there. I started telling her everything because I was scared. My mom was like, let us go to his house. I said, Mommy, please, I'm not telling you so that we'll go to the house. I was fidgeting. Guys, I was shaking. My mom said, wear your clothes. Let us go now. Guys, that is how my mom followed me. When we got to Ebuka's house, there was a big padlock in front of the house.
I like to play a little game at home called Refrigerator Jenga, where I try to remove something from the very back without moving any of the items cluttered in front of it. And it's fun because if I win, I get my item and I feel proud of myself. And if I lose, I spend 40 minutes cleaning up marinara and broken glass off the floor.
Get ready with me while I tell you something very scary I went through. Correction, that I went through. Okay, so this story took place in 2016. My parents, they clean offices, and me and my brother, we used to go help them at the time. So it's basically like they go at night when nobody's in the buildings to clean the offices. So I don't want to say exactly where this was, but this building was pretty big. It was a 2-story building, and we would usually separate. So it would be my mom and dad, and then me and my brother. So there was this one specific time where there were some construction workers and they had to go at night too, so nobody's at the building. So me and my brother, we were in an office, and sometimes the bucket where we throw the trash in gets really full. So I would tell my brother, can you go throw the trash, so I could start taking more trash out because it didn't fit anymore. So I noticed my brother was taking a little longer than he should have, and I was like, okay, let me just leave. So I was like, oh, let me just leave. I'm already done with this office, so let me see where he's at. So this is where it gets really freaking creepy. By the time I get to the hallway, my mom and dad and my brother are there. And my brother is telling them that he ran into a construction worker. My brother starts telling my dad how the construction worker stopped him and asked him if he's ever heard noises in the building or if he's ever seen anything. My brother then tells him, yeah, we do hear things sometimes, but we just like ignore it, or we just don't pay much attention to it. Although there were times we did hear things and we got scared. Well, the construction worker starts telling my brother that they're not coming at night anymore. They're getting their stuff and leaving because they saw a little boy. So they saw a little boy dressed in hospital clothes, like a hospital gown, running through the hallway, and a doctor or nurse type looking chasing after them. Yeah, and mind you, this building is not a hospital, not a clinic, it is a call center. So it was a call center upstairs, and downstairs it was a DR Horton. The DR Horton office was where the construction workers were in. So my dad starts saying like there's no way, they just made that up. Start saying they're just trying to scare you, like blah blah blah. So we just like go about the date. We didn't really think much of it. It did scare us, but we were like, what the fuck? So fast forward a couple months later. So we're back in the building and my dad comes up to us and he looks freaking scared. And we're like, what happened? And he said that he saw so my dad starts telling us that he was in the hallway and that he saw a doctor pushing a patient on like a hospital bed, and they were exiting the building, and that my dad yelled, hey, and that they turned and looked at him directly. The patient looked directly into my dad, and my dad was like looking at him, and that quickly they exited the building. And my dad said he ran out of the building, and when he went out there was nothing, like no cars, it was empty. It's just our car there in the building parking lot. So after that, we decided that we did not want to separate, and my dad was like, F that, we're not separating. We literally saw what the construction workers said that they saw, except it wasn't a kid, it was like an older guy. So, well, shortly after that happened, we didn't work there long after that. But now, so a couple months from today, we went to go visit that building, but it's completely abandoned. Like, it's just, there's nothing in it. So I'm just like, what? But yeah, let me know if you guys believe in ghosts, and let me know if you guys want more scary stories, because I have a lot.
I'm so sorry that I kept you guys waiting, but I seriously was living this situation up until a couple of hours ago. Quick recap, I went out with a guy that I matched with on Hinge on Saturday night, and it ended up going absolutely terrible. So it's me and my friend. He tells us to show up to his Airbnb at a certain time to pregame with like all the rest of his friends. Right when we get there, off the bat, the vibes are off. There's like 3 other girls there. They're getting ready. I introduce myself. Like, I walk up the stairs, and I'm like, hi guys, like, I'm Winnie, nice to meet you, because I'm not the bitch that's not about to say hi. When they said hi, it was just like very cold, very annoying. And the Hinge match kept saying like, God, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm sorry that I had to bring you guys into this vibe. Let's go up to the roof and just like drink there. So we go up to the rooftop. He's chatting about how it's his birthday, how he had rented this Airbnb, and how they were being absolutely terrible. Like, they didn't care that it was his birthday. They didn't want to go to any of the places that he wanted to go. And I felt really bad. So me and my friend, we were like, look, just hang out with us. Like, we're going to go out, we're going to have a good time, and we're going to celebrate your birthday. I did start to notice, though, that he was starting to pay more attention to my friend, like ask her more questions and just be a little bit more intrigued in her life. It's not really important to the story, but I just wanted to give you guys, like, the vibes. So it's me, my friend, Hinge guy, his friend. He really wanted to go to this club called Havana, so it's his birthday. We're like, you know, we're gonna do whatever you want to do. His friend calls the Uber. We go down from the roof and we leave and we get in the Uber. The moment we get out of the Uber, I realize that I didn't have my purse. So I'm looking around for my purse. I'm looking at them. I'm like, guys, I don't have my purse. The Uber is driven away. Can you try messaging the Uber? I'm talking to his friend at this point because his friend's the one that called the Uber. Like, can you try messaging him and asking him if the purse is in there? He's like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. But chances are your purse is probably in the house. You probably left it there, or you probably left it on the rooftop. I was like, you know what? You know, at this point, I was a little bit tipsy. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, probably. Honestly, it's probably there. So, like, no big deal. I also really did not want to ruin this man's birthday and make it about myself. So I was kind of just like, okay, like, hopefully it's at the house. It probably is. And then we can just have a good night. We're at Havana.
We're having a good time. I kind of noticed that like at this point that he's like really interested in my friend. So I'm starting to just get like turned off. I'm like, okay, like whatever, you know, it is what it is. After a couple hours, we were lit. We were like, let's head back to the Airbnb. And here's where shit got stressful because it escalated so fast. The moment we get back to his Airbnb, he's like, shh, shh, be quiet. You have to be quiet. The girls are sleeping. Like, don't say a peep. Like, don't say a word. He's not even letting us stay in the house. He's literally saying, go back up to the roof where it's cold as hell. We were drinking. He's like, shh, shh. Every little thing we say, if we giggle, if we talk, he would be like, shh, shh, shh. Meanwhile, we weren't even being loud. Like, we were trying to be as respectful as we possibly could be. But it was the fact that every little noise we made, this man was like, guys, you guys are being too loud. It was like, honestly, it just gave me, like, it gave me the ick. Like, we get up to the roof, we're talking, we're telling him, like, how cold we are and how we want to go back inside. And so he's like, fine, like, let's go downstairs. I'm thinking he's going to take us to the kitchen. No. He takes us down one flight of stairs because there's 3 flights of stairs in this condo. It's like layer 1, layer 2, layer 3 rooftop. He takes us down the first flight of stairs and like pushes us into his room and locks the door and like closes the door. It was at this moment that I remembered that I still hadn't found or looked for my purse. So I tell him, I'm like, oh my God, I completely forgot to look for my purse. Have you talked to the Uber? I look at his friend and I'm like, hey, have you talked to the Uber driver? Have you heard anything? He's like, no, I haven't heard anything. I'm like, can I go and like look in your kitchen? Maybe I left it on the roof. He looks me dead in my eye and is like, shh, shh, no, you can't, no. I'm looking at him in shock and disbelief. I'm like, what do you mean no? I need to find my purse. My keys to my home are in there and the keys to my car are in there. If I don't find them, like I'm literally stuck. He proceeds to tell me again, no, I'm sorry, but you can't go look. By this point, his friend had left the room and disappeared. It'd been like 20 or 30 minutes now. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, can we try to contact the Uber? Like, can we please do something? Because us just sitting here and you guys just staring at me is stressing me out. Like I'm getting nervous. Like I need to find my shit. At this point, I'm starting to cry. Him and my friend are sitting on the bed. I'm like scooched into a corner, like balled up, crying. Him and my friend are looking at me like I'm fucking insane. I am pleading with this man to please let me go check the roof. Let me go check the kitchen. Like let me just leave this room. And he's still saying no. At this point, I don't feel like my friend is supporting me at all and it's 2 against 1 and I'm feeling very, very ganged up on. So I'm like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the bathroom because there was a bathroom attached to the room. I'm like, and you guys can sit here and I'm going to go to the bathroom and I'm going to call Corey, my baby daddy. I go into the bathroom because talking to them is not helping. I am still drunk and I'm trying my hardest to still be respectful to this man. So I go into the bathroom, I call Corey crying. Corey is like stressed out. He's like, what's going on? What's happening? I'm telling him what's happening. I'm like, I'm trying to tell them I need to find my keys. I need to find my car keys, you know, and my house keys because I can't get into my house. Like I'm explaining this to Corey. Corey's like, I don't understand. Like, what's the issue? Like, why can't you look for your shit? And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, dude, no one's listening to me, dude. Not even my friend. Like, she wasn't even listening to me. Yes, I was intoxicated, but at the same time, like, I was still very much aware that I needed to find my shit. My friend whips open the bathroom door and she's like, we can hear you talking out here. Like, we can hear you talking shit. And I'm like, okay, but you guys are not helping me. So I had to call Corey to be like, hey, come help me because they're not helping me. I felt like no one was listening to me. It was giving like angry black women freaking out for no reason. At that point, I was really mad at my friend. I had cussed her out because I was like, leave me alone. She ends up storming off. I think she ends up like leaving the room and she's like, fuck it, I'm out of here. She storms off. She leaves. I'm sitting there like crying to Corey, like, hey, like, what do I do? I'm still begging this man, like, can I please just go check? Like, let me just go look. He's still saying no. About 5 minutes later, my friend tries to call me and tells me like, let's go. I called the Uber and I'm sitting here like, no, I already called my child's father. I don't want to hop in the car with you and just be screaming at each other. Like, I'm not arguing with you about this. Like, I'm not doing it. So I completely was like, you go. So she ends up leaving. And another reason why I didn't want to leave is because I still didn't have my shit, right? Like, they didn't even live in Georgia. The moment I would have left, I would have never heard from them again. So I'm talking to the Hinge guy. It's just me and him at this point. And I'm like, can you go ask your friend if the Uber driver has said anything? Like, give me the Uber driver's number. Like, I will go, but like, I need some connection so that I can try to get my purse back. He's screaming back at me like, why are you blaming us? Like, we didn't do anything. He's talking about him and my friend. He's like, we didn't do anything and you're getting mad at us. And I'm sitting here like, I'm not getting mad at you guys. I am just like asking for empathy. Like, help me find my bag. Like, actually care at the fact that I lost my shit. I do take responsibility for losing my shit. That's all on me, but I'm just asking for you to maybe care? Like, what? I really did try to fit this whole story into 10